Ladies and gentlemen, forgiveness is often misunderstood in our society. Many people equate forgiveness with forgetting, with making peace at any cost, or with an unconditional reopening of doors to those who have hurt us. But the truth is, forgiveness is much deeper and more complex than that. Forgiveness is a powerful choice, one that puts the control of our emotional well-being firmly back in our hands. It's about deciding how we want to live moving forward, not about being held captive by past pain. One of the most important aspects of forgiveness that many overlook is that it doesn't always mean reconciliation or continued relationship. Sometimes forgiveness includes saying goodbye, and this goodbye can be one of the most courageous and empowering acts of all. To truly understand this, we need to start by redefining what forgiveness really means. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior or pretending that nothing happened. It is not about weakness or submission. Instead, forgiveness is about releasing the hold that pain, anger, and resentment have over our hearts and minds. It's about choosing peace over bitterness, freedom over captivity. When we forgive, we are making a conscious decision to let go of the emotional chains that bind us to past offenses. This decision is an act of power because it shifts the locus of control from external circumstances or other people to ourselves. Many people struggle with the idea that forgiveness might involve saying goodbye. Our culture often teaches us that forgiveness means reconciliation, that we must restore the relationship to its previous state or maintain ongoing contact. While reconciliation can be a beautiful outcome of forgiveness in some cases, it is not a requirement. Forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. Reconciliation involves rebuilding trust and re-establishing connection, which requires effort, willingness, and safety from all parties. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is a personal inner process that we control. We can forgive someone fully without inviting them back into our lives. In fact, choosing to say goodbye can sometimes be the healthiest and most powerful way to practice forgiveness. Saying goodbye through forgiveness is an act of setting boundaries. Boundaries are essential for our emotional and psychological health. They define where we end and others begin, protecting us from further harm. When we forgive someone but choose not to continue a relationship that is toxic or damaging, we are honoring our own worth and prioritizing our well-being. This boundary setting is not punitive, it is protective. It says, "I forgive you for what happened, but I will no longer allow this behavior or this dynamic in my life." This clarity is liberating and gives us the power to create space for peace and healing. Forgiveness that includes goodbye also acknowledges the reality that not all relationships are meant to last. Some people enter our lives for a season or a purpose, and when that time ends, holding on only causes more pain. Clinging to damaged relationships out of obligation, guilt, or fear can trap us in cycles of hurt and resentment. True forgiveness frees us from these chains. It lets us release what no longer serves our growth and happiness. In this release, we reclaim our energy and attention, redirecting them toward healthier connections and positive experiences. Another powerful aspect of forgiveness with goodbye is that it helps us reclaim our narrative. When we are hurt, especially deeply or repeatedly, we can feel defined by the offense or by the other person's actions. We become victims in our own story. Forgiveness is a way to rewrite that story, not by erasing the pain, but by refusing to let it dictate our identity or future. Saying goodbye is a declaration of self-respect and autonomy. It says, "My worth is not determined by your actions, and I choose a path that honors my dignity. This reclamation of power is transformative, allowing us to move forward with confidence and hope. Choosing forgiveness with goodbye also requires courage. It is not easy to let go, especially when emotions are raw and connections run deep. Fear of loneliness, fear of change, or fear of judgment can make us hold on longer than we should. But courage is what enables us to face these fears and choose what is best for our well-being. Forgiveness with goodbye is a bold act of self-love that prioritizes long-term peace over short-term comfort. It is a testament to our strength and commitment to living authentically. In addition, this kind of forgiveness is a profound expression of emotional maturity. It recognizes that relationships are dynamic and that sometimes growth means moving apart rather than together. Emotional maturity allows us to accept that letting go is not failure, but a necessary step in healing. It embraces complexity rather than clinging to simplistic ideas about forgiveness. This maturity deepens our capacity for compassion, not just for others but also for ourselves. We learn to honor our needs and emotions without guilt or shame. Forgiveness that includes goodbye also impacts how we view accountability and responsibility. Forgiveness does not absolve others of the consequences of their actions. Saying goodbye can be a way to hold people accountable without resorting to anger or revenge. It sends a clear message that harmful behavior has limits and that we will not tolerate being mistreated. This boundary reinforces healthy dynamics and encourages growth, either in ourselves or in others. Forgiveness becomes a tool for transformation rather than a loophole for enabling harm. Moreover, this approach to forgiveness nurtures inner peace by ending internal conflicts. When we hold on to resentment, but also want to forgive, we create a tension inside ourselves that can cause stress and confusion. Saying goodbye through forgiveness resolves this tension by clarifying our stance. It frees us from the paradox of loving or wanting peace, but feeling trapped by harmful relationships. This clarity is a gift to our emotional well-being and spiritual health. It is important to recognize that forgiveness with goodbye does not have to be permanent unless that is what we choose. Sometimes, time and healing can open doors for renewed connection. Other times, the goodbye is a healthy and necessary closure. Forgiveness is flexible and personal. It honors our unique journey. The power lies in having the freedom to choose, without coercion or guilt, what is right for us at any given moment. Finally, embracing forgiveness as a form of power that can include goodbye empowers us to reclaim our lives from the grip of past pain. It transforms forgiveness from a vague ideal into a practical, actionable choice. It gives us agency to shape our emotional world and relationships on our terms. This empowerment is revolutionary because it shifts us from being passive victims of circumstance to active architects of our peace and happiness. Forgiveness is not about denying the reality of hurt or pretending everything is okay. It is about choosing peace over pain, freedom over bondage, and love over bitterness. And sometimes, the most loving and powerful thing we can do for ourselves and others is to say goodbye. This goodbye is not a defeat. It is a victory of the spirit, a reclaiming of our power, and a step toward a life filled with authenticity, peace, and true freedom. Embracing forgiveness combined with the courage to say goodbye is one of the most transformative and liberating decisions a person can make. This form of forgiveness is not a sign of weakness or defeat. Rather, it is a declaration of personal strength, self-respect, and a commitment to one's own healing and well-being. When we choose to forgive and simultaneously let go by saying goodbye, We open the door to profound personal freedom, emotional healing, and the establishment of healthy boundaries that protect our peace. This journey of forgiveness with goodbye leads to a life that is healthier, more fulfilling, and richer in authentic relationships. The first profound effect of embracing forgiveness with the courage to say goodbye is the experience of personal freedom. Forgiveness frees us from the emotional bondage of resentment, anger, and pain that can weigh heavily on the soul. When we hold on to grudges or cling to toxic relationships, we allow past harms to control our present and future. This control limits our ability to live fully and joyfully. Saying goodbye as part of forgiveness is an act of reclaiming that control. It means we are no longer prisoners of others' actions or words. We regain the freedom to direct our energy toward positive growth and healing. This liberation empowers us to live according to our own values and needs rather than being tethered to harmful dynamics. Alongside freedom comes the deep process of healing. Forgiveness is a vital step in emotional healing because it allows us to release the heavy burden of bitterness and hurt. When we say goodbye to relationships or situations that perpetuate pain, we create a safe emotional space to process our feelings and recover. Healing requires this space because it allows us to reconnect with ourselves, our values, and our innate capacity for love and joy. Without forgiveness, wounds fester and grow deeper. With forgiveness and goodbye, we foster an environment conducive to restoration. The act of letting go is often accompanied by a sense of relief and lightness, signaling that healing has taken root. Another important outcome of forgiveness, coupled with goodbye, is the establishment of stronger and healthier boundaries. Boundaries are essential for our emotional and psychological well-being. They protect us from further harm and create clarity in relationships about what is acceptable and what is not. Forgiveness does not mean tolerating abuse, disrespect, or manipulation. Saying goodbye to relationships that violate our boundaries is an act of profound self-care. It communicates to ourselves and others that we value our dignity and will not accept harmful treatment. These boundaries are not walls meant to isolate us, but fences that keep our personal space safe and sacred. The strength gained through setting these boundaries fosters confidence and reduces future emotional harm. In addition to personal freedom, healing and boundaries, embracing forgiveness with goodbye often leads to a more authentic and fulfilling life. When we release toxic relationships or environments, we make room for new, positive connections. These new relationships are healthier because they are built on mutual respect, trust, and genuine care. Letting go of what no longer serves us clears the emotional clutter that can cloud our judgment and distort our sense of self. This clarity allows us to pursue goals and relationships aligned with our true selves. Forgiveness with goodbye becomes a catalyst for growth, opening doors to opportunities and experiences that enrich our lives. Forgiveness combined with the courage to say goodbye also nurtures emotional resilience. Life inevitably brings challenges, conflicts, and disappointments. Learning to forgive while letting go equips us with tools to face these difficulties with strength and grace. It teaches us that peace does not depend on others changing, but on our own willingness to choose healing over hurt. This resilience helps us bounce back from adversity and maintain emotional balance. It reduces the likelihood of being trapped in cycles of bitterness and retaliation. By practicing forgiveness with goodbye, we develop a steady inner foundation that supports long-term well-being. Moreover, this approach enhances our self-worth and self-esteem. When we forgive but choose to walk away from harmful situations, we affirm our right to be treated with respect and kindness. This affirmation strengthens our belief in our own value and worthiness of love and peace. It counters feelings of helplessness or victimhood that often accompany unresolved hurt. Choosing forgiveness and goodbye is an act of self-love that reinforces our confidence and sense of empowerment. As we honor ourselves in this way, we naturally attract healthier relationships and positive experiences. Choosing forgiveness with goodbye also transforms how we relate to others. It teaches us that relationships are not about control or obligation, but about mutual respect and freedom. When we forgive without the need for reconciliation, we free ourselves and others from unhealthy dependencies or expectations. This freedom fosters healthier dynamics based on honesty and authenticity rather than fear or resentment. It allows us to engage with others from a place of peace rather than pain. This transformation creates space for genuine connection and compassion to flourish. In addition to personal transformation, forgiveness with goodbye can ripple outward to positively impact our communities and social environments. When individuals choose peace over vengeance and set boundaries that protect their well-being, they contribute to reducing cycles of conflict and harm. Their choices model healthy ways of dealing with hurt and disagreement. Encouraging others to do the same, this ripple effect can foster cultures of respect, empathy, and healing, making communities safer and more supportive places for everyone. Spiritually, embracing forgiveness with goodbye aligns us with deeper values of love, mercy, and freedom. Many spiritual traditions teach that forgiveness is a pathway to inner peace and connection with the divine. Including goodbye and forgiveness respects the sacredness of our well-being and honors the divine wisdom that sometimes separation is necessary for growth. This spiritual understanding deepens the healing process and provides strength and guidance through difficult transitions. It reminds us that true forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves, a sacred act that honors both our humanity and our higher selves. The courage required to embrace forgiveness with goodbye is significant and should not be underestimated. It challenges us to confront fears of loss, loneliness, and uncertainty. Yet, this courage is the gateway to profound transformation. It allows us to release toxic attachments and embrace life with open hearts. Each act of forgiveness and letting go strengthens this courage, building a reservoir of inner strength that sustains us in future challenges. This ongoing practice becomes a source of empowerment and peace. Forgiveness with goodbye also changes our relationship with time and the past. Instead of being trapped by memories of hurt, we learn to view them with acceptance and perspective. This shift reduces the emotional charge of painful events and frees us to live more fully in the present. It invites us to create a future not limited by past wounds, but shaped by hope and intention. This temporal freedom enriches our experience of life and enhances our capacity for joy. In practical terms, embracing forgiveness and goodbye can improve our overall quality of life. Reduced stress, better mental health, and healthier relationships contribute to physical well-being and longevity. Emotional freedom increases productivity, creativity, and engagement with life. People who forgive and set boundaries report greater happiness and satisfaction. The positive changes extend to families, workplaces, and social circles, creating environments where individuals can thrive. Ultimately, forgiveness that includes the power to say goodbye is an act of profound self-respect and love. It honors our need for peace and protection while acknowledging the complexity of human relationships. This form of forgiveness empowers us to live authentically, heal deeply, and connect meaningfully. It transforms pain into growth, hurt into healing, and endings into new beginnings. Through this courageous choice, we unlock a life of freedom, joy, and true peace that no bitterness or resentment can ever take away.